Uh, Thank you,
Yes.
Vani ji and Vasudev ji. I welcome all the members of Meditation and Study Circle. Let us start the session.
So first, let us offer respects to Sri Adi Shankara for providing this wonderful gem called Drk-Drsya Viveka. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. This is a beautiful text written by Sri Shankaracharya, or maybe followers of Shankaracharya, but very important text, very, very important text. So what is the importance of this text? Let us understand. Today is the fourth class, day 4 of the series of talks on Drk-Drsya Viveka. In the earlier classes, we started about discrimination of seer and the seen. So today, we are talking about the functions of 3 seers. So what are these 3 seers? Most of us are very familiar with the teachings of Sri Ramana Maharshi. So Sri Ramana Maharshi, the main teaching is, find out who am I. Neen yaar. Find out who am I. Now, people don't understand. This who am I is not a japa. Who am I? 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 Japa cannot be done. People do keep on asking who am I? Who am I? The answer will not come. When Ramana Maharshi says, ask who am I, use the discrimination to find out who am I. If you don't know the discrimination process, million times you ask who am I, still you will go nowhere. So one of my friends, who is a foreigner, he went to Tiruvannamalai recently, means a couple of years back. He goes to many places in Tiruvannamalai. Shopkeeper says, who am I? Find out who am I. A banana peel seller says, who am I? Everybody says, who am I? But nobody knows who am I. The who am I, they think that it's like a question. Who am I? No. Who am I is a discrimination. It's not a question. If you don't understand discrimination, you'll never be able to understand the teaching of Ramana Maharshi. Then you will keep on all of your life repeating, who am I, who am I, who am I? And some answer will keep coming to mind. Real I will not be able to find out. The discrimination is called Drk-Drsya Viveka. So in last classes, we saw there are 3 seers. The 3 seers we described just for recollection of what happened in last class. So I see a flower, an objective world, the physical world. Then who is the seer? My eyes are the seer. Sense organs are the seer. The sense organ is called seer number 3. Seer number 1. Sense organ is seer number 1. Now, seer number 1 sees the flower. So is sense organ seeing the flower? My eyes are functioning. My eye is not working. My eye has a pain. Who knows this? Eyes cannot know. Sense organs cannot know. Then who knows this? Is the mind is the seer. Seer number 2 is called mind. Seer number 1 is called sense organs. Now when I say sense organs, don't think that it's just eyes. Drashya doesn't mean just eyes. Drashya means All five sense organs, any of the five sense organs, eyes, ears, touching, feeling, sensing, any of the five sense organs is called eyes. Eyes is just a representative, Drsya. So the mind is the seer, because mind will understand what's happening to the eyes. So seer number 2 is the mind. Now, which is seer number 1? Seer number 1 is sense organs. Seer number 2 is mind. Now, what is happening in the mind? Oh, there are no thoughts in the mind. There are thoughts in the mind. Who knows this? That's the seer number 3, the Sakshi, the witness. So the witness is the final seer. There's nobody else to see the witness. So there are 3 seers. The sense organs, seer number 1. The mind is sense organs, seer number 2. And Sakshi, or the witness, is the seer number 3. There are 3 seers clear? So now our entire spiritual journey is to remove this confusion of who is seer number, real seer. Nothing else. Spiritual journey is not at all going to Himalayas. Spiritual journey is not at all sitting in a cave. Spiritual journey is not at all asking 1,000,000 times, who am I, who am I, who am I? Spiritual journey is to clearly understand seer number 1, seer number 2, seer number 3, separate them out logically, not physically. If you don't understand seer number 1, seer number 2, seer number 3, you'll never be able to understand self-relation. So very important to understand the distinction between seer number 1, seer number 2, seer number 3. Now, what is the confusion? When I say I see the flower, to see the flower, I need sense organs. To see the sense organ, mind is required. To understand what's happening in the mind, Sakshi is required. The seer number 1, 2, and 3 together have to cooperate to see the flower. When I say I see the flower, sense organs, mind, and Sakshi together have to work. So when I say I see the flower, I forget sense organs, mind, and Sakshi. So then I think I am the body. So I have an illusion that I am the body. Body is seeing. This is a confusion. So then, oh, my eyes are not functioning. Now sense organs are not seeing. My mind is functioning. But mind to function, Sakshi is required. Seer number 1 and seer number 1 and 3. Seer number 1 and 3. Seer number 2 and 3 is required to see, oh, my mind sense organs are not working. Then when you say my mind is, there are no thoughts in the mind, or there are thoughts in the mind, I am the Sakshi. Seer number 3 is required. But we are totally confused. We don't know which seer is operating when. So this confusion is called spiritual avidya. Seer number 1, 2, 3 getting mixed up. We have to really separate out, who am I? Out of these, seer number 1 and 2 will come and go. They are not there permanently. They appear and disappear. When you wake up, the seer number 1 comes, sense organs. When you go to dream, seer number 1 goes to sleep. Seer number 2 is functional. When you go to deep sleep, seer number 3 is only functional. So who is real I? This question has to be addressed. This is the meaning of Ramana Maharshi. He is asking, when you say, who am I? Which seer are you? Seer 1, 2, or 3? It is not asking question, who am I, who am I, who am I, some million times. It will not take you anywhere. So using your intellect clearly, who really I am? Seer number 1, or seer number 2, or seer number 3? I am really seer number 3. Okay? Seer 1 and 2 appear and disappear. But seer number 3 does not appear and disappear. I am that eternal seer. To know this is called self-relation. Self-relation is not an experience. Oh, I have self-relation. I have a beautiful, wonderful experience. No. Self-relation is not experience. Self-relation is the result of discrimination, Viveka. So this is just a recollection of what we did in the last class. Now, in the last class also we discussed that The seen is always Maya. The seer is real. So, for example, in the world we see a lot of colors, name and form, variety we see. But there is no variety in the eyes, seer. Seer always has no variety, seen has a variety. So it's red flower, yellow flower, sun, everything. The variety is there in the seen. The seen is Drashya. The seer is Drak. So Drk-Drsya is Maya, appearance. Drak is real. Seer is real. So we have to go to the real. Seer 3 to seer 1 to seer 2 to seer 3. That is called spiritual journey. So similarly, the seen, seer can see everything in the world. Seer can see flower, sun, eyes can see. Seer number 1 can see sun, flower, trees. But seer number 1 cannot see itself. The seer can never see itself. Seer can see everything else. So similarly, seer number 2 can see seer number 1. Eyes, what's happening to my eyes are burning, eyes are red, all those things. But seer number 2 cannot see itself. The mind cannot see itself. Mind can see the variety in the scene, but mind cannot see the seer. So the scene is first seer number 1, sense organs are the seer, the world is seen, the world is Maya. Now, step number 2, the mind is the seer, mind is real, but sense organs are mithya or Maya. So like that, from Maya, we have to gradually move. So now, finally come to seer number 3, which is Sakshi. Seer number 3 is real, and seer number 2 is mithya, Maya. Variety is there in seer number 2. There are thoughts, there are no thoughts, there are feelings, there are emotions. All these are seen by the Sakshi, the witness. So witness does not come and go. That's why witness is Satya. Witness is the Atma. I am the witness. Now, seer number 2 can see the seer number 1, but seer number 2 cannot see itself. Seer number 3 can see seer number 2, but seer or Sakshi cannot see itself. Seer number 1 cannot see seer. Seer number 2 cannot see seer 3. Seer number 1 cannot see seer 3. Seer number 2 cannot see seer 3. Seer 3 cannot be seen anybody. Sakshi is like a woman with a burqa. Mask, total mask. Only eyes are there. That woman with the burqa can see everything in the world, but nobody can see that face of the woman. Seer number 1 and 2 cannot see this face of seer 3. So you'll never be able to find the Atma, see the Atma, because you are the Atma, you are the seer number 3. So self-realization doesn't mean seeing the Atma. Oh, I had a beautiful self-realization experience. What happened? I saw myself coming as a light. Then you didn't see. You saw only seer number 2. Seer number 1, seer number 3 cannot be seen because he is the seer. So this is what we discussed in the last class. So the question which Ramana Maharshi asks, find out who am I? Who am I? Oh, I am a husband, I am a wife, I am a mother, I am father, I am son. These are all for transaction in the world. Who is the real I? The real I, the question is about who is the seer? That is the question being asked. We are totally confused about who is seer at any point of time. We are a confusion, mix up everything. So when I see the world, the seer is sense organs. But sense organs alone cannot be seer. Seer number 1, 2, 3 is required. But I confuse myself as seer number 1, I am the body, I'll say. When I see I am experiencing the sense organs, I am seer number 2. But seer number 2 requires a seer number 3. But I confuse myself with the mind. And when I say I experience the object called mind or thoughts, then I am seer number 3. Right? But in our mind, there's always confusion. We mix up all these 3 seers. separation of the seers very clearly, logically, understand very clearly, and living in that understanding is called Atmadana. That's called Mukti. Atmadana is not a new experience. Oh, I had a wonderful experience. I got Atmadana. I saw a light. They're all seen is Mithya. Drsya. Drsya is always Maya. Drak is the only reality. Seer is the reality. And seer nobody can see. Seer is like a burqa clad woman. Sakshi is like a burqa. Nobody can see the face of Sakshi. If you see the face, oh, I had Atma Sakshatkar, self-realization, I saw my Atma. Then you didn't see your Atma. Right? But there's a mix-up happening. Confusion is happening. 1, 2, 3 is getting mixed up. It is like you eat fruit salad. Fruit salad as a, what do you call as apple, grape, pineapple, okay, musumbi, mango. Oh, fruit salad is very sweet, he'll say. All right, my dear, what is sweet in fruit salad? Is pineapple sweet? What is there? So many fruits are there. So then you have to separate out. Pineapple is not sweet. Only mango is sweet. You have to find out. You have to separate out. The discrimination is physically separate out. Right? So similarly, who is the seer? You cannot physically separate out. You cannot physically remove sense organs. You cannot physically remove the mind. You cannot remove physically body. You have to logically, with a sharp intellect, you have to separate out. That is called Atmadana. Discrimination. Viveka. There's no possibility of physically separation out. Then what are we trying to do in Atmadana, self-realization? We should understand there is one real seer. And there are 3 seers. Seer 1, seer 2, seer 3. Seer 1 is sense organs. Seer 2 is the mind. Seer 3 is Sakshi, the witness. Out of these 3, 2 are Mithya. 1 is Satya. 2 are real, unreal. 1 is real. What 2 are unreal? Seer number 1, sense organs is unreal. Seer number 2, mind is unreal. Seer number 3, alone is real. Real seer. Other 2 are Mithya. Oh, what is the meaning of Mithya? Mithya means, don't be under the impression that Mithya means false. Mithya means appearance. Okay? So Mithya does not mean, Satya means is there always. Sakshi is there all the time. Sakshi, there is no point of time Sakshi is not there. Sakshi is there even before your body is born. Sakshi is there. Sakshi is Paramatma. Seer number 3 is Paramatma. That's called Satya. But seer number 1 and 2 appear and disappear. They are called appear and disappear. That's called Mithya. When it appears, they're experientially real, but factually not real. Experientially real, but factually unreal is called Mithya in Vedanta. Which doesn't appear and disappear, which is there all the time, is called Satya. Sakshi alone is Satya. Seer number 3 alone is Satya. Seer number 1 and 2 are Mithya. Why? The sense organs appear when I wake up in the morning. My eyes will open, my ears will open, I hear sound. They appear when I wake up in the morning. When I go to dream, sense organs are off. They disappear. Then mind, sense organs called mind opens up. Mind will see some internal world. And when you go to deep sleep, the mind, seer number 1 and seer number 2 are completely gone. They are not there. Then only seer number 3 is functioning in deep sleep. But seer number 3 is there in waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. Seer number 1 appears in waking state. Seer number 2 and dream. Seer number 1 disappears in dream state. Seer number 2 appears in dream state. So 1 and 2 are Mithya. Mithya means appears and disappears. Mithya means experientially real, factually unreal. What is experientially real? I see a snake on the rope. Oh, I'm scared. The experience of snake is real. I'm scared. My heartbeat is there. My breath is slowed down. There's a perspiration. Experientially real. But factually unreal. There's no snake there. There's only rope there. So mithya doesn't mean, oh, how can sense organ be mithya? Seeing is believing. I can see. That's why eyesight is real. No. It's mithya because experientially it is there, but factually it's not there. What is experientially there, but factually it's not there? It's not mithya. So is world there? World is experientially there in the waking state, but factually it's not there in all the states. Dream state and deep sleep, world is not there. Snake is there when you experience it, experientially real, but factually there's no snake, there's only rope. So our sense organs and mind confuse us. Seer number 1 and 2 confuse us. The sky appears to be blue. Experientially is blue, but factually there's no blue sky. There's no blueness in the sky. It's only optical illusion. So this optical illusion is called mithya. Okay. So the world is real. World is experientially real. If you put a finger into the fire, it will burn. Experientially real. But is there really fire? No. Mithya. Factually it's not there. Experientially it is there. Temporarily. All the time it's not there. So that mithya doesn't mean mithya is experiential. It is useful, but not real. Seer number 1 and seer number 2 are very useful for us to live in the world. Sense organs are required. If you are blind, it's very difficult to live. That is useful, but not real. Real only Sakshi. So here, the Sakshi is like a sun. Atma is like a sun. Sun is always shining. Sun gives the light to the moon. The moonlight falls on the earth. There's first level reflection and second level reflection. Similarly, Atma, the Sakshi, the seer number 3, gives light to seer number 2, mind. Mind is like a moon. So mind is unconscious. Moon doesn't have its own light. Mind receives the consciousness from the Sakshi. The mind becomes alive. So the mind gives consciousness to the seer number 1, sense organs. So seer number 3 is always there. Seer number 3 gives the light of self to mind. Mind gives the light of self to the eyes. The mind is like a moon. Sakshi is like a sun. Moon shines in the reflection of light of sun. Sense organs receive light. They don't have their own light. Sense organ and the mind are inert, jada. They are not conscious. They receive the consciousness. So only consciousness, Sakshi, is the real consciousness, and you are that. You are the Atma. So what happens at the time? Atma is there all the time. It's everywhere. It's all pervading. When somebody dies, what happens to Atma? Nothing happens to Atma. The seer number 2 goes out. Seer number 2, which is mind, goes out. Then seer number 1, body doesn't get the consciousness. Seer number 1 is off because seer number 2 is not there. Seer number 1, sense organs get the light from the seer number 2. Seer number 2, the jiva, ego, moves to another body. The seer number 1 is there. Sakshi is also there. But seer number 1, which is sense organs of the body, cannot receive the consciousness from the body directly. Consciousness. It requires the mind. The mind is gone. This Atma is there everywhere. Atma is there in the dead body also. But the dead body cannot become conscious because the dead body does not have the ability to receive the light from the Sakshi. The light from the Sakshi, to receive light, the mind is required. Seer number 2 is required. So now, let us say, seer number, at the time of death, seer number 2 goes out of the body. Then he died. The body is, the consciousness is there in the body. But you cannot see the consciousness because the body cannot receive the consciousness and reflect the consciousness without number seer number 2. So seer number 1 cannot function now. Seer number, the person, dead person cannot see, dead person cannot hear. Seer number 2 has gone. Or chala gaya, mar gaya. Kahan gaya? He has gone. The seer number 2 has gone. Mind. Then what happened to seer number 1? Seer number 1 cannot see now. There's nothing for seer number 1 to see. Seer number 1 requires seer number 2 and seer number 3 to see. Seer number 2 is not there. Seer number 1 is not a seer. Seer number 1 is Brahman now. He's not a seer now. Sakshi, sir, seer number 3 is not a seer now because seer number 3 requires seer number 2 and seer number 1. Seer number 1 to see the world, seer number 2 see the mind. Okay? If the mind is gone, the Sakshi does not see anything. Sakshi is no longer a Sakshi. He is Brahman. Are we clear now? Seer number 1, 2, 3 confusion. The seer number 1 is the body. Body is conscious because of the mind. Now, we have heard a lot of this manonasha business. So, Gnani means manonasha happens. The mind is destroyed for Gnani. There's no mind state. Oh my God, Gnani has no mind. Enlightenment means no mind. No mind means becoming blank, idiot. Then everybody in the mental hospital should be Gnanis. No mind does not mean there's no mind is not there. Okay? No mind means the mind is there. Mind is functioning very well. Gnani can see. Seer number 3 of Gnani operates. Seer number 2 of Gnani operates. Seer number 1 of Gnani operates. So Gnani, if you give a fruit to him, he'll eat the fruit because he is able to see Seer 3, Seer 2, Seer 1 functioning. Seer 2 is the mind. It's functioning. Okay? So then what is the meaning of manonasha? So Gnani has no confusion between seer number 1 and 2, 1, 2 and 3. So Gnani always knows I am number seer number 3. He is not confused. So the manonasha means this confusion is destroyed. Ignorance is destroyed. The confusion is destroyed. That's called manonasha. Mind is not destroyed. Confusion of the mind is destroyed. What is confusion? Confusing I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect is destroyed. So Gnana is always clear. What is it clear? Nanu, Nanembudu, Nanalla, Ideha, Manabuddhi, Nanalla, Sachidanandatma, Shivananu Nani, Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivoham. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am pure consciousness, Shiva Swarupi. So, Gnani has no confusion. That is the meaning of manonasha. Manonasha doesn't mean the mind is destroyed. Gnani becomes like a blank, like an idiot. He'll look like this and he'll not understand anything. No. Gnani's mind will work sharply, but there's no confusion in the Gnani's mind. The destruction of confusion is called avidya, is called manonasha. It's not the destruction of the mind. No mind doesn't mean blank mind. No mind means no confusion in the mind about seer 3, seer 2, seer 1. Is this clear? So now Gnani, his confusion is gone. He says, I am Sakshi, I am seer number 3 all the time. Okay? Seer number 3 has no, I'm not connected to the mind or body. The mind and body appear and disappear, but nothing happens to me. Sakshi is always present. The mind gets a reflected light, Chidabhasa, and body gets a reflected light, Chidabhasa, for functioning. So this confusion is removed in Gnani. That's why it's called Gnani. When Ramana Maharshi says, inquire who am I, remove the confusion through discrimination, Viveka, not by asking a question, who am I, 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 japa. No. Proper discrimination, understand you are Sakshi and become free from confusion. And stay as Sakshi without confusion all the time. That's the meaning of Gnani. So when Gnani speaks, he is never confused. When he uses the word I, okay, he will never confuse with seer number 3, seer number 2, seer number 1. So Gnani, if somebody asks, Maharaj, are you able to see the fruit? He says, I see the fruit. Now, when you say, I see the fruit, okay, the seer number 1, I, sense organs, seer number 2, mind, seer number 3, both 3 are required. All 3 seers are required. So Gnani understands sense organs are seeing the fruit, but I am the Sakshi. Okay, he has no confusion. But for communication purpose, he says, I am the body also, because body is only seen for the other person. So his words will not confuse, but his understanding is clear. So then he says, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. So Gnani says, Sakshi is Brahman. So he will never confuse the seer number 1, seer number 2, seer number 3. Even though his communication is like a normal person only. Are you clear? Communication, there's no confusion. There's no mind confusion in the mind. So that no confusion state is called no mind. Confused state mind is called Adnani, ignorant. So ignorance is a delusion. Now, what is this delusion? There is a connection, a mix-up is happening in our mind. Seer 1, seer 2, seer 3. Okay. Sakshi, the witness, and the mind is getting confused. They are mixing up the Sakshi and the mind. So this confusion is a total confusion. This confusion of seer 1, 2, and 3 is mixing of Sakshi and the mind. The witness and the mind is a big confusion. Why mixing of the mind and the Sakshi is big confusion? The mind and Sakshi are very close to each other. Sakshi is there all everywhere. Sakshi is reflecting the light of the self on the mind. The reflection and the original and the reflection are very, very close. They are not separate. They are very close. And we are not able to separate out this close relationship. The Sakshi is a higher order reality. The mind is a lower order reality. In reality, there's no confusion possible at all. In reality, there's no mix-up possible at all. They are different order of reality. Sakshi is a higher order reality, higher self. The mind is the lower self. They can never be mixed up. Higher order reality means a rope and snake is there. You see a rope and you confuse it as a snake. There's a mix-up happening. Confusion is happening in the mind. The snake, which is a lower order reality, imagination, cannot affect the rope. Rope is a higher order reality. Mind cannot affect the Sakshi. But there's a confusion created. I am happy, I am unhappy, I am suffering. So the mind appears to be confused with the Sakshi, Atma. The I is confused. I is the Atma. So this confusion is the functioning of the mind is superimposed or mixed up with the Sakshi. In reality, it can never mix up. Sakshi is a higher order reality. Similarly, a person is sleeping. He is dreaming. He married a beautiful girl in the dream. He has 2 children. Okay. The dream is a lower order reality. The person who is sleeping is a higher order reality. And the person who is woken up, who has awakened or woke up is a higher order reality. The person who has woken up can never marry a dream girl or dream children. That's a lower order reality. So order of reality, Sakshi is a higher order reality, whereas the mind is a lower order reality. They can never mix up. But there's a confusion created. Mixing up is happening. That mixing up confusion is created by something called ego, ahankara. So this confusion only can be removed. There's no real mix-up is happening also. So when my mind and Sakshi are mixed up, you say, I am suffering, life is a suffering, I am samsari. Now what is this I here? Atma never suffers. It's a higher order reality. The mind suffers. The suffering of the mind is superimposed on the Atma. This superimposition is happening because of the ego. And the superimposition is not real because higher order reality cannot have a superimposition with lower order reality. A snake cannot affect the rope. Movie screen is higher order reality, movie is the lower order reality. There's a fire in the movie, but fire in the movie cannot affect the screen. So Atma can never be affected. That appears to be affected because of an illusion called ego. That illusion called ego is called Chit Jada Granthi. It's mixing up conscious and matter. And it's real, it's unreal, it's an illusion. Okay? So physically trying to remove ego will not solve the problem, because you can't remove the ego because it's not there. I want to get rid of ego, I want to get rid of ego. You can't get rid of ego because it's not there. It's a confusion. Right? So people who are spiritual, I want to get rid of ego, I got rid of ego, I have become purer ego. All those things are false. The ego cannot get rid of because there's no ego. It's only illusion. It is like I saw a rope on a snake on the rope. I removed the snake from the rope. How can you remove? It's not there. Ego is not there. It's an appearance. It's a confusion. That ego can be removed only with the clarity. That clarity is called Atmadana. That clarity comes from Viveka, discrimination, no other way. No, I'll meditate for 10,000 years. Then I'll get a Atmadana. False. Because meditation doesn't give you the clarity. Okay? So, it's like saying, I saw a rope on the a snake, then I'll meditate and make the snake disappear. How can you make the snake disappear? You come by meditation, you can't. You have to get a clarity. Understand? So that's why Atmadana is because of Viveka only, clarity only, self-realization is through clarity. That's called discrimination. That's called Drk-Drsya Viveka. So now what is that clarity which is required? You have to separate out Sakshi from the mind. Understand? But physically you cannot remove them. Physically you cannot remove Sakshi from the mind. Logically you have to remove. Logically through discrimination you have to remove the mind and consciousness. The consciousness of part of the mind is called Chidabhasa. Chidabhasa, understand Chidabhasa is consciousness. Chidabhasa is coming from Sakshi. So I am really Sakshi. Like that you have to discriminate. You cannot physically separate them out. Mind is just an instrument. Okay. So how do you discriminate? Sakshi is present in the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. The mind appears in the waking state. The sense organs in the mind appears in the waking state. Sense organs disappear in the waking state, dream state. Mind is there in the dream state. In deep sleep state, mind and sense organs are not functioning. But I am there. Like that, logically you have to discriminate and find out who you are. Physically, you cannot do it. So now this clarity becomes deeper and deeper. That deeper and deeper clarity is called self-realization. Now self-realization is not an experience. Self-realization is a clarity. So now, what is the challenge of self-realization? Self-realization is freedom from three delusions, confusions created by the mind. Delusions. There are three pairs are there. Okay, there are three pairs. Pair number 1, pair number 2, pair number 3. These pairs are very, very closely associated. They are buddies. These pairs are causing confusion. There are three pairs. So pair number 1 is body and mind. Body and mind are very, very closely connected. Pair number 2, mind and Chidabhasa, mind and reflected consciousness. Pair number 3, Sakshi and the mind. Right? How many pairs are there? 3 pairs. Pair number 1, pair number 2, pair number 3. That means there are 6 things. We are mixing up these pairs in our mind. And this mixing up the pairs in our mind and getting confused is called ego. Ego is not real. It's only confusion. The confusion can be removed only through clarity. There's no other way to make confusion disappear. So we have to separate out these pairs, understand what is what. So let us say confusion number 1, confusion. Pair number 1 is called seer 1 and seer 2, body and mind. Sense organs is seer number 1, mind is seer number 2. Right? Seer 1 and 2 are confused. Why? When I see, okay, I see the fruit. Oh, body is seeing, I'll say. Without understanding that mind is also required to see. Seer number 1 and 2 is required. Seer number 2, mind gets light from the consciousness, Chidavasa. The mind gives light to sense organs. 1 and 2 are required, but I only confuse myself as body. I think I am a body, forgetting the mind. Okay. The mind and body are very closely related. How they are related? If there's a pain in the body, that's a toothache. Oh, I have no mood at all, yeah. Okay, because body is affecting the mind. The seer number 2 and seer number 1 are getting affected, each other. They're very close. So if there's a depression in the mind, I don't want to see anything here. Hey, please come for a movie, very nice movie. I don't want to see it. I'm depressed. So seer number 1 and 2 are very, very closely connected. Is this clear? How closely are they connected? Very closely connected. The mind gives the light to the body. Body receives light, and they appear to be very, very closely connected. Pair number 1. Are we clear? Now, this connection is broken. Its connection is not there all the time. The seer number 1 and 2 connection gets broken when you die. When the body dies, the seer number 2 goes away. The body will be there. Seer number 1 will be there. Body will be there. Seer number 2 goes away. So, the seer number 2 and 1 and 2 is connection is called prarabdha karma. The mind uses the body as long as the prarabdha karma is there. At the time of death, the prarabdha karma is over. The body is dropped. The seer number 2 will go and create another body from sanchita karma. Now, another relationship will start. So, seer number 1 and 2 connection pair is there till the body is alive. After that, it gets broken. Right? Then seer number 2 will go to another body to create a body and then experience new prarabdha karma, new connection, new relationship. It divorced from this body and got married. It's like a marriage and divorce. So, for experience of prarabdha karma, mind associated with the body, marriage happened. At the time of death, divorce happened. The body lies on the table. Body lies on the bed. Body is not conscious because body cannot receive consciousness from Sakshi directly. Seer number 2 has gone to find another body, another marriage. So that is called seer number 1 and 2 connection. Now, the second pair is there. Second pair is mind and Chidavasa. Mind and the reflected consciousness. So this first conception, pair number 1, is because of prarabdha karma. The second connection is a natural. You cannot do anything about it. So the mind is the reflecting surface. And Sakshi is always there. So when there is a reflecting surface, Sakshi always reflects. Okay? Chidavasa is the reflection. When the mirror is there and light is there, reflection of light is always there on the mirror. Sakshi is the light, Atma Jyoti. The Atma Jyoti always reflects on the mirror called mind. Now, if the mind is not there, there is no reflection. But as long as the mind is there, there is reflection. When the mind is there all the time. So mind is continuous after death also. Mind will continue forever. So mind will disappear only when Videha Mukti happens. The liberation happens. After millions and millions of lifetime, the mind is gone because Atmadnana has happened. The confusion is gone. So after that, mind has no role to, seer number 2 doesn't go to another body. Otherwise, mind will, seer number 2 will keep on traveling from one body to other body. He is samsari. Seer number 2. So it is a natural. The connection between the seer mind and Chidavasa will be broken only in the Videha Mukti happens after millions and trillions of lifetime. Only with Atmadnana will give Jivan Mukti. Then Videha Mukti, the body is dropped, prarabdha karma is gone. Seer number 2 doesn't go to another body. Are we clear? Seer number 3 and seer number 2 is a delusion. So our spiritual journey, we are trying to solve the problem of seer number 3, pair 3. pair 3 is called, pair 3 is the Seer 3 and Seer 2 confusion. Mind and Sakshi are confused. We are always confused with the Sakshi and the mind. Oh, I am unhappy. Who is unhappy? Sakshi cannot be unhappy. Sakshi is not connected. Sakshi is higher order reality. The mind is unhappy. The mind is getting superimposed on the Sakshi. So now mind is superimposed on Sakshi. Sakshi cannot be unhappy. But mind always superimposes. I am unhappy, I am sad, I am pain, I am suffering, I am samsari. How do I get up delusion? All this is superimposition Sakshi, Atma. Okay. Seer number 3 and Seer number 2 is a superimposition. A confusion. It's a delusion. So through Atma Dnana, Viveka, you can remove through discrimination. I am the Sakshi and the mind is, this is joy and suffering in the mind, it's getting superimposed. I am not suffering. That understand discrimination is called Viveka. It's not a physical separation. It's a logical separation. Through Viveka and Nididhyasa, I can attain Jivan Mukti. Always understand I am Sakshi. Even the mind is suffering, I know I am suffering. So there is a very peculiar logic is there here. If the mind is suffering, that means I am not suffering. Because mind is suffering, I know mind is suffering. The knower is not suffering. The experience is not suffering. Suffering belongs to the mind. Understand? So the Vedanta uses a very peculiar logic. If I am experiencing something, experiencing pain, I am not in pain. I know the pain. The knower, knowing principle called Sakshi is free from everything which is happening to the mind. This confusion can be removed through Viveka, discrimination, and Nididhyasa. So here the pair number 1 and 2, pair number 1 will be at the time of death will separate out. Pair number 2 can get separated only Videha Mukti after trillions of lifetime. Pair number 3 is gives Jivan Mukti. Separation can happen through discrimination. This is the hope for us. Once you get Jivan Mukti, pair number 2 will also disappear at Videha Mukti. So this is recollecting what we have done so far. So let us take now next sloka number 10, 11 and 12. So seer number 1, 2 and 3 were described in last class. I just recollected it. So now sloka number 10, 11 and 12. Now, the function of these 3 seers are described. Functioning of these 3 seers are important for us to discriminate properly. For discrimination purpose, you have to understand functioning of these 3 seers. In deep sleep state, right? When you go to deep sleep state, what will happen? Ego disappears. Ahankara disappears. Disappears means it doesn't go anywhere, it becomes dormant. The body becomes unconscious. Because body receives the consciousness from the mind. Body doesn't function now. The mind or the ego becomes dormant. So when you go to when the mind becomes inactive, that's called deep sleep state. Inactive. It's there, but it's inactive. There's no action. When the mind goes, when the mind becomes half active, not fully active, half active, it's called dream state, not fully active. In the dream state, the mind doesn't activate the body, the mind activates the vasanas, impressions which are there, and creates a world. It's called half awake state. Right? In the half awake state, it's called dream. Mind is become partially active. And mind becomes fully active, it's called waking state. In the waking state, mind connects with the body, makes the body alive, then experiences the world. Okay? The ego is dormant in deep sleep, partially active in dream state, and fully active in the waking state. Right? In the waking state, feel I am in control, I can do this, I am the doer. That means the ego is fully active. In the dream state, I'll be drifting. I don't even ask whether I have control. The ego is partially active. In deep sleep state, ego is dormant. So this is the first understanding we have to have. Then the inner organ, which is Antakarana. Antakarana receives the Antakarana or the mind, receives the light from the Chidabhasa, consciousness, Sakshi. The received light is called Chidabhasa. Sakshi is the Atma Jyoti. Okay? It imagines the dream state. The Antakarana, mind imagines the dream state. That's the imagination. So in dream state, I have a dream girl, I have a dream marriage, dream children. These are all imaginations based on the Vasana. And same mind imagines the external world in the waking state. So the dream world is also imagination, external world is also imagination. Oh, is there no external world? There's the external world. For what is the external world? We have to understand Ishvara Srashti and Jiva Srashti. That we will find out later. So the mind imagines a world in the dream state. Mind imagines a world in the waking state. So mind which is there is called Antakarana. So then we go to third stage. The mind is a part of the subtle body. We have three bodies: gross body, subtle body, and causal body. So the subtle body has mind and ego. It is jada, inert. The subtle body receives the consciousness. Mind doesn't move from one body to other body. The subtle body moves from one body to other body. It moves from waking state to dream state to deep sleep state. The subtle body moves, not the mind. Mind is a part of the subtle body. Earlier we described the mind. Now we are bringing the concept of subtle body. And subtle body is the one which goes to next level of another body after death. So these three shlokas we'll try to understand. So for this, we have to understand what we call as avasthatraya. Avasthatraya means waking state, dream state, and deep sleep state. In the waking state, in the deep sleep state, the mind is inactive. Okay. In the dream state, mind is partially active. In the waking state, mind is fully active. So now, in the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, the Sakshi, the seer number 3, is not at all affected. Is there all the time. Atma. The avasthatraya is happening for the seer number 2. Seer number 1 is not, seer number 3 is not affected. Seer number 3 is Sakshi. I am the Sakshi. But the seer number 2 changes state. Waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. This is called avasthatraya. So now, what do we understand from this avasthatraya? 3 states. The Sakshi is not there in the 3 states. Waking state, dream state, deep sleep. It doesn't change. It is the light, Atma Jyoti. What kind of light? Antar Jyotihi, Bahir Jyotihi, Pratyak Jyotihi, Paratpara, Jyotirev Jyotihi, Swayam Jyotihi, Atma Jyotihi, Shivasmeham. I am the light of self. The light of self doesn't switch on and switch off. In the waking state, dream state, deep sleep. It's there all the time. I am the light of the inner light. I am the outer light. In the waking state, I illuminate the outer world. In the dream state, I hold the illuminated inner world. In the deep sleep state, I hold the illuminated inner mind. But the Sakshi is never switched on and switched off. It's the Atma Jyoti, light of the self. Okay. Sakshi is the seer number 3. Seer number 3 doesn't appear and disappear. The mind is inactive. Seer number 2 appears in the waking state and dream state. And deep sleep state, mind becomes inactive. The Sakshi, the seer number 3, gives the light to the mind, seer number 2. Seer number 2 gives the light to seer number 1. Who goes through these states? Atma never goes through these states. Waking state, dream state. Atma is always Sakshi, witness. Atma is like a movie screen. The movies keep on changing, but movie screen doesn't change. So then, what happens in various states? In deep sleep state, the mind is inactive. In the waking state, the mind is active. What is the meaning of mind is active? There are thoughts in the mind. The activity of the mind is called thoughts. In the dream state, there are thoughts in the mind. In deep sleep state, there are minimum thoughts. There are no zero thoughts. It's not a zero thought. It's a minimum thoughts. Okay. So when the thought is there, the world is there. When in the waking state, thoughts are there and sense organs there, the world is there. In the dream state, thoughts are there, there's a world, dream world. In deep sleep state, thoughts are minimum, there's no world. So thoughts are nothing but the world. World is nothing but the thought. Okay. So then what happens in the deep sleep state? The deep sleep state, the mind has become inactive. The thoughts have become minimum. Okay. So when the mind is inactive, there are no thoughts. Thoughts are called vrittis. Right? So the mind is there. You can imagine mind as a lake. Okay. Mind as a lake. The lake has a wave. Okay. Wave appears and disappears. Lake is always there. That wave is called aham kriti or ahamkara. So a lake is there and wave is there. The mind is like a lake, which is always there, something is there. How long it is there? Until many, many lifetimes that some part of the mind which doesn't change is there. Some part of the mind which changes is there. There's some part of the mind which changes is called vritti or thoughts. Some part of the mind which is not changing is called background. It's always there. Right? There are two parts of the mind. One is called manodravya, the essential material of the mind, and other is vritti. So in deep sleep, vritti, waves are not there. Waves are minimum. Manodravya, the mind is there, dormant. There is no waves. It's like a lake without waves. Correct? The lake receives the Chidabhasa, the vrittis receive Chidabhasa. Experience of life is possible only when there is wave. When there is no wave, there is no experience of life is possible. Mind is there, but experience is not there when there is no thought. Are we clear? So thought and experience are related. When the external world is there, the thought is there, then the experience of the external world is there. When the dream is there, the thought is there, the dream world experience is possible. In deep sleep, thought is not there, that's why experience is not possible. But mind is there as a lake, background. The mind doesn't get destroyed. So you have to understand a lake and a wave to understand the mind. So what happens in deep sleep? The thoughts are minimum, but lake is there, the mind is there. Sakshi is always there. Chidabhasa is there. But because there are no thoughts, there's no world experience. There's no dream world, there's no physical world. So then in the deep sleep state, there's no experience. No experience is a subtle thought. The thoughts, vritti is not there. Vritti of the world is not there. But there's subtle vritti, sukshma vritti, say that there's no experience. No experience is an experience. Understand? And the no experience happens in the mind. That no experience thought, subtle thought, a dormant thought, very subtle thought is there in the mind in deep sleep. A chidabhasa is there in the deep sleep state, which eliminates that subtle thought, there's no experience. Please understand, any experience is nothing but a thought, vritti. When the vritti is not there, there's no experience. Vritti of the external or internal is not there, but there's a vritti, there's no thought. There's no experience is vritti. That's also vritti. No experience is also experience. That no experience of experience, deep sleep state happens in the mind, which is in the background. That I told you, mind has a lake and wave. The lake part, there's a small subtle vritti called no experience. No experience in experience. How? See, please see what is there in my hand. So what is there in my hand is a fruit, right? So there's a fruit is called vritti. Fruit vritti is there. What is there in my hand? Nothing is there. Nothing is there is a vritti. Absence of any thought is also a vritti. That absence of any thought vritti is called there in deep sleep. So that is called avidya vritti. That's called karana sharira vritti. That is called ignorance vidya, avidya vritti. Avidya vritti is there. That avidya vritti says there's no experience. I don't know who am I. So when you wake up, I said nothing was there in the mind, nothing was there, is an experience of avidya vritti in deep sleep. Avidya vritti is eliminated by sakshi, atma. Deep sleep is not a state of zero thought. Deep sleep is a subtle thought called avidya vritti. And other thoughts are not there. The thoughts of the world, thoughts of the mind are not, vasana are not there. So what happens in deep sleep? Same thing happens in death. So people will carry what will happen after death? What exactly happens in deep sleep happens in death. Your deep sleep is a miniature death for you. Every day we go to a miniature death. So people are worried what will happen after death. Exactly what happens in death will happen in the deep sleep also. The mind goes to a dormant condition. The thoughts are minimum. The background mind is there. Okay. So there's no body is not there because there are no thoughts. So same thing happens in pralaya. When the entire world is dissolved, the mind goes to a dormant state like deep sleep state. So if you are familiar with deep sleep state, you are very familiar with the death. Death is, sleep is like death. So is this clear? So the mind itself is inert, jada. The mind receives the consciousness from sakshi, chidabhasa. So mind is eliminated in the reflected consciousness, chidabhasa. So now, so far, this seer number 1 and 2 and 3 are described. Okay. The seer number 2 is called mind, but mind is a part of a subtle body, sukshma sharira. So what moves from one body to other body is not the mind, but the subtle body, the sukshma sharira. We have 3 bodies: gross body, subtle body, causal body. So these 3 bodies together is called mind. So what happens? The mind identifies with the chidabhasa. The mind identifies the reflective consciousness. Reflective consciousness and mind are like mirror and reflection. Mirror and reflection you cannot separate out. You see a reflection in the mirror, you cannot separate out the reflection. They're very close. Okay. Then it imagines the inner world and the outer world. The inner world imagination or vasana imagination is called dream, and projection of the vasana is called projection of the outer world is done by the antakarana or the mind. So now a question comes to us. Oh, is the outer world also is my projection? There's no really outer world. Is a projection of the mind. So for that, we have to understand thoughts project the world means what? For that, we have to understand Jiva Sakshi, Jiva Srishti, and Ishvara Srishti. The world which you see, the physical world, objective world, is Ishvara projection of the Ishvara, the universal consciousness. My experience of the world is called Jiva's projection, Jiva Srishti. This Ishvara Srishti and Jiva Srishti is there. Jiva Srishti is because of confusion. Ishvara Srishti is the reality. Reality means experiential reality. So when you say my minds project the world, the mind doesn't project the Ishvara Srishti. Mind projects my experiences of the Ishvara Srishti. So Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti difference you have to understand. So there is a physical world. Okay. The physical world or objective reality. So the physical world, objective reality, is experienced through sense organs and the mind. Sense organs and the mind are like five blind people trying to experience the elephant. Our sense organs are very limited. Sense organs get the light from the mind. Seer number 1 gets the light from the seer number 2. The blind people, no matter how hard they try, they can't figure out what the elephant is. Somebody says the elephant is like a pipe. Somebody says it's like a pillar. Somebody is like a rope. Somebody says it's hard. They're all telling you about the experience of objective reality. The objective reality is Ishvara's projection. Our sense organs and minds cannot understand this Ishvara's projection fully. We understand in our own way. A bird experiences the world in some way. An ant experiences the world in some way. A human being experiences the world in some way. Okay, each person experiences the world in some way. Ishvara's projection is called Ishvara Srishti. And what sense organs are giving, the mind has a thought or subconscious impressions, it mixes up that. Our conscious mind is only 5%. The conscious mind uses sense organs. Subconscious mind is impression vasanas. Total of the experience is very, very limited and it's confused experience of the reality. The objective reality is Ishvara Srishti. The subjective reality is Jiva Srishti. So it is like this. There's an objective reality called a tree. Okay. There are 3 people seeing a tree. One person sees, oh, what a beautiful tree. Another person doesn't see the tree. He sees a fruit on the tree. This lady, oh, how can I sell this tree, fruit on the tree? It will get a lot of money. She sees the money. If the tree is an objective reality, it's common to all the 3. The objective reality is called Ishvara Srishti. The 5 elements, the space, wind, the fire, water, earth, the beautiful earth, everything is an objective reality. It's Ishvara Srishti. But our experience, our vasanas create our own reality for that. That's called Jiva Srishti. So there are 2 creations, Ishvara Srishti and Jiva Srishti. Subjective interpretation is called Jiva Srishti. Objective reality is called Ishvara Srishti. Is this distinction clear? So the mind creates the subjective reality. Atma Jnana means the subjective reality created by the mind becomes silent. The clarity comes. So Ishvara Srishti only remains. That's called Atma Jnana. So looking at the other way, there is a beautiful forest, a beautiful mountain. So this person has seen a map of Himalaya. The Himalaya idea is there inside his head. But what Himalaya is really is not what idea is there in his head. But he leaves the idea in his head as real. Okay? The idea in your head is called Jiva Srishti. The reality is Ishvara Srishti. Ishvara Srishti is objective reality, subjective reality is Ishvara, your reality. So this is my friend. The friend body is objective reality, is Ishvara Srishti. Your concept of your friend is called your Jiva Srishti. Friend, enemy, like, dislike, mountain, valley. What is called territory is not the map. We have a map in our mind. Map is Jiva Srishti. Whereas territory is the Ishvara Srishti. So I'll tell it in different way. There is a light bulb. Bulb illuminates, electricity flows through the bulb and bulb switches on. If the electricity is not there, bulb is off when the electricity is not there. Our mind and sense organs, Atma is like electricity. The Atma gives the light to the mind gives the light to the sense organs illuminate the world. So then you see the world. If there's no illumination, there's no world. Now, if imagine the bulb is intelligent. So the bulb doesn't understand electricity. It says, I am only illuminating the world. It confuses itself without understanding what is electricity giving me the light, a power. It thinks that I am only seeing. So seer number 1 and 2, they are confused seers. So they don't understand seer number 3 is giving the light. They think I am only seeing. I am the seer. Forgetting the real seer, which is Sakshi. So Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti, I'll give another example. So that's a beautiful objective reality, 5 elements, wind, the fire, which is a perfectly working universe. That's called Ishvara Srishti. Ishvara Srishti is there. It's not individual creation. And Jiva Srishti is here. The pollution, the confusion, all this is Jiva Srishti. It's individual. So Ishvara Srishti is beautiful. It's there. A perfect order is there. Jiva Srishti is confused creation. So Atma-jnana realization means getting out of the Jiva Srishti. It's not Ishvara Srishti. Ishvara Srishti will continue. A Jnani, Jiva Srishti has ended. His own perceptions and confusions about the Ishvara Srishti is gone. Likes and dislikes are gone. Ishvara Srishti continues. Beautiful Ishvara Srishti continues for Jnani. So Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti difference you understood, right? So now the mind is nothing but we have spoken of mind, seer 1, seer 2, seer 3. Now the author brings the concept subtle body. The mind is a part of subtle body. It is not the mind which goes from another body to other body. The mind, subtle body moves from one body to other body. Okay. So now, what is life? What is our life? What do you call as life? Oh, I'm alive. That's life. Life means experience. No experience, no life. If there's an experience, there's life. If there's no experience, there's no life. But Sakshi is not affected by experience. Sakshi is just witnessing. Experience appears and disappears. What we call as life is nothing but a series of experiences. Oh, I'm alive because I am able to see this remote. I'm alive because I'm able to see the fruit. So when I say experience is life, moment to moment changing experience is called life. And I already told you, experience is possible only when there is a thought. That means thought is life. Right? So thought itself is inert. Thought has to be eliminated by Sakshi Chaitanya, Chidabhasa. So Chidabhasa plus thought gives the experience. That experience is called life. So life is nothing but a series of experiences. So experience can be two types. External experience of objective reality or inner experience of subjective reality. Objective reality is called Ishvara Srishti. Inner experience is called Jiva Srishti. So how do you respond to the outer experience is the inner experience, Jiva Srishti. So the seer number 1 and 2 are mithya. They appear and disappear. So experience appears and disappears. The experiences or what we call as life is a mithya, appearance and disappearance. The Sakshi alone is real. Okay. The clarity that I am the Sakshi, Atma-jnana is not an experience. All experiences are appearing in me and disappearing. They are mithya. All experiences are mithya. They appear and disappear. Experience is possible when there is thought. And thought is alive because of consciousness, Chidavasa. Is that clear? So, what happens in Atma-jnana? In Atma-jnana, the confusion is gone. seer number 1 and 2, I don't confuse. I am always a seer number 3. I am not dependent on experience. I am eliminating all experience. I am the Atma Jyoti. That clarity emerges. So then you don't superimpose seer number 1, 2 experience on the self, Atma. Then you don't suffer because Atma is nature of Sachidananda Swarupa. So authors say now the concept of what we call as subtle body is brought in. Subtle body, a jiva, is a combination of Sthula Sharira, physical body, Sukshma Sharira, subtle body, and Karana Sharira, called causal body. That's called jiva, individual. So when somebody dies, the subtle body goes from one body to other body. Now, why are we bringing subtle body? Because mind, what we call as mind, or seer number 2, is a part of the subtle body. The subtle body moves from one state to other state. Subtle body moves from waking state, dream state to deep sleep state. Subtle body moves from one dead body to other body, body to other body. The gross body remains where it is. Okay. Causal body and subtle body together move into another body. So that's told in terms of 5 koshas: Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, Anandamaya kosha. The Sukshma Sharira, Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, is subtle body. This moves from one body to other body. That's called death. Subtle body has 17 parts: 5 karmendriyas, 5 dhanendriyas, 5 pranas, manas and buddhi, mind and buddhi. So far, initially we started with the saying seer number 2 is called manas, mind. But now we are bringing body to make it much more clear. So when somebody dies, subtle body moves out. So it's like body is like a glass. The mind is like water. And Sakshi is like a light. There's a reflection of light. It's called Chidabhasa. When somebody dies, this water moves. The mind moves from one body to other body, subtle body. The reflection also moves because the reflection is there always when the mind is there. Sakshi doesn't move. Atma doesn't move. So this is called birth and death. So we'll stop at this point today. Next, in Drk-Drsya Viveka, what is Maya? Why this confusion is there? That is taken up. I wanted to complete that, but I don't have time today. Why this confusion of seer number 1, 2, and 3 are getting created? And that's getting created because of Maya. And what is Maya? That we'll understand in the next class, class number 5 in the next month.